We are back, everyone, with Nexus Summit, and we are going into round 3 of Riftbound. We've got a spicy win on the table. We've got SpicyN0odlez on LeBlanc going against Soulslike on Kha'Zix. Super excited for this match. I don't get to see a lot of Kha'Zix played, so LeBlanc versus Kha'Zix should be quite fun. Nothing out of the ordinary here in regards to our chosen champions. We've got Kha'Zix Mutating Horror going up against LeBlanc. And we have Zon Warrens and Star Spring. I imagine Zon Warrens is the Kha'Zix battlefield and Star Spring is the LeBlanc battlefield. LeBlanc just absolutely loves being able to gank with like Hillock and move their units back using Star Spring as well. So we're going to go ahead and kick us off. One mulligan here for SpicyN0odlez. And I didn't see, it looked like one going back for Soulslike as well. So pretty good hands for both players. Gonna kick us off into a pretty juicy matchup. Guess what? From round 1, we see the Faithful coming back. Opening play for Soulslike. Pay 2, play Faithful, and let's see if we can get on the board. On the other side of things, we have SpicyN0odlez developing the Watchful Sentry, both of which 1 might units. Pretty funny and interesting if you think about it. They could just butt heads here. However, very likely we'll probably see either a combat trick or deciding not to move the Watchful Sentry. And it looks like Soulslike does decide to go ahead and do so. Paying 4 and probably playing the Kha'Zix here. All right, Kha'Zix and move back the Faithful most likely so that it is a 6 might to 1 might. That's exactly what's going to happen, and this Watchful Sentry down. Watchful Sentry, fortunately enough, has a death knell that says, when I die, draw a card. So it immediately replaces itself. Feels good. However, the tempo play is in the Kha'Zix favor here. Although the champion unit, out of its zone, still will be a formidable foe going up against SpicyN0odlez. Will it use its 1 experience from the 2 gained from Kha'Zix Mutating Horror to go ahead and dish out a buff counter? Giving a buff counter here to the Kha'Zix, making it even more powerful and even more difficult for SpicyN0odlez to move off the board. SpicyN0odlez moving over. Looks like we picked up a nice little ramp unit here. We're going to go ahead and bring out the Black Rose Dignitary as well as the Soaring Scout, saying, all right, if I'm going to lose my units, we're going to at least ramp a bit and get to the mid-game much faster than normal. Soulslike will hold to 2 after the double development turn for SpicyN0odlez, and we'll try and maybe take down some of these backline using this Faithful. Looks like we are playing a Void Assault, moving my Kha'Zix over to the Zon Warrens and saying, what do I want to move? I'm going to move this Black Rose Dignitary. And because Black Rose Dignitary is being moved over from Void Assault, it is the defender and Kha'Zix is the attacker. Once again, getting some more experience and, yeah, conquering over to 3 here after the hold. We will be able to loot off of Zon Warrens, discarding a card and drawing a card. So let's see what we decide to discard here. Looks like we might want to get rid of the Sabotage. Sabotage is pretty interesting. A lot of times this card is kept in hand just to prevent any type of combat tricks. LeBlanc notably doesn't generally have combat tricks, but does run the powerful gear in Baited Hook. So we will go ahead and have Soulslike moving forward, giving a buff counter to the Faithful, gonna pull forward this Soaring Scout, channel another rune, and once again saying, hey, you're not allowed to have any units on the board, SpicyN0odlez. No free LeBlanc triggers for you. However, SpicyN0odlez with an onslaught of runes here. What is this? 9, 3, 6, 9 runes going into turn 3. We could develop something like a Rift Herald, Harness Dragon, Vi, the question, a Ruined Rex. The question is, what do we want to develop here? And it looks like we've got a Sacrifice, a Black Rose Dignitary, a Baited Hook, a Ruined Rex, and a Vi in hand for SpicyN0odlez. Pivoting towards playing this Black Rose Dignitary and will indeed play it for 3. followed up by a baited hook, and playing the LeBlanc from the champion zone says, all right, we're going to develop a little bit more. We'll give you 5 points and set up for some exceptionally powerful turns to come. Channeling 2 runes, Soulslike moving into 5 points with the double hold. Looks like we've got some good combat tricks in hand with things like Punch First. However, it doesn't look like we have a lot of opportunities to goad some of these units onto the battlefields just yet. All right, playing 2. Looks like we might develop here. Wondering if this is a traveling merchant. Soulslike thinking hard about this. Oh, it is another Feyfolk, a non-buffed Feyfolk. We'll move back and retreat the original win. We're going to spend another experience to buff these guys up. Now we've got a full board of buffed units, 2 Feyfolk with a Kha'Zix. We're going to retreat the Kha'Zix and we'll say, hey, these battlefields are open for the taking, but we're going to be coming right back with an onslaught of our own. Does look like it's going to be a pass to the turn, and SpicyN0odlez finally with some units in the base at the start of the turn will be able to ready them and get ready to take over some of these battlefields and get some points on the board. The question is, are we going to go ahead and use LeBlanc's ability on LeBlanc Fragmented so we can start drawing some more cards off of this baited hook? Our hand doesn't look like it lines up exceptionally well. However, we might be able to go ahead and Ruined Rex develop on this turn. Let's see how SpicyN0odlez decides to play this out. We'll go ahead and lead off with this LeBlanc Fragmented on the Star Spring. This is a pretty powerful decision. Ooh, and we're going to ambush out a Vi so that we can get the Conquer trigger and perhaps make another Vi. SpicyN0odlez will conquer, go to 1. Uses the LeBlanc Deceiver in order to... Oh, discarding the Ruined Rex to make a copy of Vi, it looks like. And from here, maybe we're going to go ahead and activate the baited hook on to the Vi. Very interesting decision. I think personally I would have liked making a LeBlanc so we can draw some more cards. However, we're saying we want some stronger units. And so we're going to use the baited hook on the Vi. Looks like we might have a Harness Dragon as our decision here. We can use this to take out the Kha'Zix. And it is indeed a Harness Dragon coming off of the Vi, exceptionally rewarded for this line of play, making the extra Vi. And just like that, Kha'Zix off the board, now sitting with a pair of Feyfolk that are both buffed. The question is, should we commit to this Zon Warrens? It looks like we're going to go ahead and commit another baited hook. Baited hook being paid for, being activated, sending home the Harness Dragon. And we're going to go digging again. We get a pair of Kha'Zix in here, and it looks like Kha'Zix is probably the best pickup. Although we don't have a ton of Death Knell on the board, we can send forward this Black Rose Dignitary in order to try and maybe get a double trigger. However, we will not. We'll pass it over to Soulslike. 1 to 5, leaving open the Zon Warrens. Interestingly enough, we have quite a few different lines of play here for Soulslike. We can maybe try and drag over the Kha'Zix with a double Feyfolk attack onto the Zon Warrens, trading 1 Feyfolk for a Kha'Zix, which isn't so bad. But no! It looks like we're going to go ahead and commit onto the board the Grim Resolve, giving a unit +3 might, and if it wins combat, or when it wins combat, you'll get some more experience. 2 more experience in the pocket of this Kha'Zix. We're going to push forward and say 5 to 3, LeBlanc. You've got no runes. What do you got? It looks like Soulslike is thinking about the trigger, seeing whether or not it's smart to pull someone else over. And it looks like we're going to pull over this. Oh, okay. We're going to pull over the Kha'Zix. Is this a punch first angle? it might just be a punch first angle. Unfold, timeout, tapping 5. And oh, out comes the Rengar Trophy Hunter. And this is a big one. This Rengar Trophy Hunter going to be difficult to kill. It'll probably go ahead and trade with the Rengar by itself into these two. And we're going to get a pair of draws coming out of SpicyN0odlez. However, Soulslike on 6, threatening to go to 7 with a potential double hold. Okay, Soulslike thankfully using the buff counter instead of a dice. Incredibly kind. So what are you going to do, Soulslike? Are we going to go to 7? It looks like that's the plan. We're going to go to Zon Warrens with the buffed Feyfolk. Decide to opt out of pulling over the Black Rose Dignitary or the Vi. Go to 7. We're going to loot 1, which is discard and draw 1 off of the Zon Warrens Conquer. Send back a Rengar Trophy Hunter and pick up a card. And send it on over to SpicyN0odlez. SpicyN0odlez with a pretty established board here. This threatening Vi as well as the Black Rose Dignitary should be able to handle the Feyfolk on the Zon Warrens and potentially lead to a double conquer here. The hand with a Mixologist, a Vi, a Sacrifice, and a Mirror Image coming out of SpicyN0odlez. Plenty of play to do. Not a whole lot in regards to Death Knell triggers, except for that Mixologist. Looks like we're going to start us off with the Black Rose Dignitary, which has Assault. Going to attack 3-2 into this Feyfolk. What do you have, Soulslike, is basically what SpicyN0odlez is saying. If you got something, you got to play it now. Otherwise, this Feyfolk is going bye-bye. Soulslike with a punch first in hand, trying to decide, is it best to use the punch first here and make it so that we cannot conquer the Zon Warrens? Decides against it, says, nah, no need. We'll go ahead and give it up. And just like that, 2 points for SpicyN0odlez. Will decide to get rid of the Vi and picks up a Kha'Zix. That's quite good. We might be able to establish Kha'Zix here. Kha'Zix and Mixologist, perhaps. That'd be a pretty nice play. We can conquer forward with the Vi, play the Mixologist to base, and send the Vi back home from the Star Spring. Thinking through these lines, SpicyN0odlez. Plenty of things you can do. It looks like we're going to lead off with paying 5. Nope, deciding against it. That's likely the Mixologist play. We might be going Mixologist Baited Hook to bring back a Kha'Zix. We have the runes available to us to play Kha'Zix, Mixologist, and activate Baited Hook if necessary. The question is, will that be a powerful enough tempo play in order to get us back into the game to the point where we can stop these onslaught that is happening from Soulslike, who's already on 7 points. This Rengar list is going crazy. It looks like we're going to go ahead and start with a mirror image. And likely mirror imaging the Vi here. And we're going to go double Vi into the Star Spring. Oh no, we copied the Feyfolk. We copied the Feyfolk, brought it forward, and the Vi's going to stun the Feyfolk. And this is very cool. Copying the Feyfolk and saying, we're just going to clear board and we're going to go ahead and play for the next turn, essentially. You've got to develop, and I'm going to hold both of these battlefields. So it does look like the Feyfolk will die. And SpicyN0odlez will pick up the Star Spring here. Likely going to go ahead and develop a Mixologist off the back of this, sending the Vi home. However, looks like there's a couple questions about the Feyfolk. Nope, that's all a joke. It looks like we will go ahead and make a copy of our Vi using LeBlanc. Although we didn't tap our LeBlanc, we know it was used from the Conquer. And it does indeed look like we will develop this mixologist. SpicyN0odlez thinking twice about this. Deciding to use Baited Hook instead. Will Baited Hook getting rid of the Vi will be rewarded with a mixologist? This was just a cheaper way to find a mixologist. We use LeBlanc Deceiver in order to make a copy of our Vi, and blammo, we get ourselves a mixologist without having to pay for the mixologist. And then we play Mixologist Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. Now we've got 2 of them on the Star Spring. And we're going to pass it on over. We're saying, hey, Kha'Zix, we've got 1,000,000 might here. You can have the Zon Warrens if you'd like, but we're coming for the rest of them. Tons of value coming out of this LeBlanc. Really just needs to stave off the onslaught of ambush units and powerful units coming out of Soulslike in order to finish off this game. SpicyN0odlez tapped down. Does generally go runes down most of the time. And we're going to lead off with Soulslike on a Fizz. The question is it a stack deck or what are we grabbing here? What's in the bin? Oh, it's a Void Assault. That's interesting. We're going to send the Black Rose Dignitary back and we're going to move forward our Fizz. Paying for the Void Assault and recycling it. Fizz going to move forward onto the Zon Warrens. Not a whole lot can be done. We're going to draw a card and then we're going to loot because we weren't able to score. So we're going to discard the Grim, pick up a new card. It looks like we've got a pair of Fizz as well as an Action in hand and a Punch first. Interesting. We do know that the Vi will be able to stun up this Fizz here. The question is, will Soulslike be able to buff up the Fizz strong enough to be able to handle all of the units coming out of SpicyN0odlez? Thinking through, what do I have in my trash? What can I play with this Fizz? And it looks like we might commit to playing this Sabotage, reinforcing the Fizz. Oh, we decide to put it in base. And we're going to play the Sabotage here and say, what do you have? We're going to take the Sacrifice. However, we're still kind of in danger here. Opponent has no cards in hand. However, they've got double Baited Hook, double Mixologist. All right, we're going to move the Fizz back to base and say we're just going to keep drawing and looting where possible in order to try and find the perfect cards to be able to handle the rest of this game. SpicyN0odlez will go ahead and hold here on the Star Spring. The Feyfolk image does fall off and it died a temporary. Looks like we're going to Baited Hook here, likely with the Mixologist. We sacrifice the Mixologist. We have to complete the Baited Hook first, and then we will complete the Mixologist. Some juicy cards. We got a Ruined Rex. We got a Rift Herald. And it looks like we're going to put out a Ruined Rex here. And off of the Ruined Rex being played, we're going to move back the Glass Mixologist and get back our Karthus off of the Mixologist. We're going to send forward the Mixologist into the Zon Warrens. And once again say, hey, I've got a ton of might back here. I can do this all day. You can draw as many cards as you'd like, but I'm just going to keep conquering and keep holding because I got the value engine set up. Oh, we're going to punch first. Is this a Void Assault? Punch first into Void Assault? That would be a pretty menacing sequence of cards here for Soulslike. Oh, never mind. Wait, why did we play the punch first? What don't I know, chat? Why do we play the punch first here? Well, nevertheless, Zonwarns will be conquered by SpicyN0odlez. Deceiver's going to make another Glass Mixologist. Maybe it's to play around potentially the Baited Hook, sacrificing the Ruined Rex and killing both the backline. That's possible. We're just saying, hey, we need one of these Fizz to survive. But we might not even get that. We will use the Baited Hook on the Mixologist. This will give us 2 Mixologist triggers thanks to Kha'Zix. Resolving the Baited Hook, we're going to find a Harness Dragon. We're going to send home this buffed Fizz. Bye-bye 8 Might Fizz. Thank you for giving me the 2-for-1. We'll grab ourselves a LeBlanc, Fragmented, and another Kha'Zix. We're going to reinforce these battlefields and say, all right, we're holding. Hold the line. 5 runes open. Pass over to Soulslike. You've got a Fizz and a Dream. Soulslike, what can you have? A couple dead cards in hand at the very least with a hard bargain. Not a whole lot of things to hard bargain in this matchup. Maybe a sacrifice. Soulslike in the tank, thinking through the best way to go ahead and win this game. Looks like Soulslike's going to pack it up and say, that's game 1. We're going to pack it up and head towards game 2. So thinking through some of the sideboard choices, this is all hypothetical, primarily because I don't know what their deck and sideboard is. I imagine the Kha'Zix will probably bring in some Gusts and some Starcross to some degree and kind of replace things like Hard Bargain in order to try and A, have useful cards, and B, get rid of the LeBlanc images. So for those of you who aren't aware of this interaction, LeBlanc Deceiver, when you hold or conquer, you can exhaust LeBlanc Deceiver to create an image token at that battlefield, and it becomes a copy of target unit. So what's going to happen is, at that battlefield, for the record, it'll become a 0 might image with a target trigger targeting one of your units, and you can respond to that by gusting the token away, making it so essentially you don't get that trigger. Because by the time the trigger resolves with a targeted unit, the image is gone. So Gus is really powerful, so is Starcrossed. Cards that really did not come up in this Kha'Zix list for game number 1. So I'm wondering, how many copies can we bring in? How many copies do we have? Because it'll be paramount for Kha'Zix to win this matchup. Going into game number 2, SpicyN0odlez probably looking to extend this game because the longer the game goes, the better it is for LeBlanc. Likely going to play Aspirant's Climb here, which is really just making the game take a little bit longer. The question is, will Kha'Zix have the Arena's Greatest to counteract the Aspirant's Climb for this game number 2, where Kha'Zix gets to go first? In regards to the LeBlanc sideboard, oh, it is indeed Aspirant's Climb and Arena's Greatest. Guess what? We're still playing to 8, ladies and gentlemen. We are staying exactly at 8 points to go. Arena's Greatest giving players both 1 point, and Aspirant's Climb making it so that they both need 1 more to win. All right, taking a quick peek here at the mulligans. Kha'Zix looks like they're going to start us off 1 mulligan for SpicyN0odlez. Kha'Zix pretty content with the hand. We'll go ahead and channel 2 runes, play a Traveling Merchant, and pass it on over to SpicyN0odlez. It looks like we went ahead and stayed with the LeBlanc Fragmented here for game number 2 in the champion zone for SpicyN0odlez. I know sometimes people swap it out to LeBlanc everywhere at once. We'll develop this Soaring Scout and say pass. This is an opportunity for Soulslike to get on the board, start filtering this hand, and we'll indeed go over to the Arena's Greatest. Both of these battlefields essentially blank after essentially the arena's greatest and the points differential for Aspirant's Climb. Conquering either of these doesn't really do anything for the battlefields by themselves, so it really doesn't matter if we go to Arena's Greatest or Aspirant's Climb. Soulslike continuing the pressure by adding a Lucian onto the board. And we'll pass it on over 2-1 as SpicyN0odlez, deciding what to do, has some pretty good cards in hand. Baited Hook, Sacrifice, Kha'Zix. The question is, what are we going to do here? I imagine we might push forward and conquer and try and develop a Kha'Zix here. However, gets pretty well punished by a Void Assault by Soulslike. SpicyN0odlez trying to navigate the best course of action here to not get punished. Doesn't look like has a ton of options due to the cards in hand, but pushing forward the Vi. We might be looking to try and contest this Traveling Merchant. Wouldn't get blown out by a punch first due to the fact that Vi will stun the Traveling Merchant. However, SpicyN0odlez deciding development is the best course of action. We're going to go ahead and move to this Aspirant's Climb. Oh, just kidding. Thinking. No, we're going to play the Vi and contest this Traveling Merchant. Indeed, here comes the Vi. Stun the Traveling Merchant. And what can you do for Soulslike? There's not a whole lot of options you can do. You can try and bounce them back with a... Oh, we're going to stack deck. We're going to concede the Traveling Merchant, but we're going to at least get a little bit of tempo and card selection off of the stack deck. Soulslike grabs a card from the stack deck, sends the other two to the bottom of the deck. We'll let SpicyN0odlez go to 2 and lose this Traveling Merchant. The good news is we have a dodger in play in Lucian. Lucian basically being able to conquer and ready and go back to base safely is quite handy. SpicyN0odlez will trigger LeBlanc and make another Soaring Scout. Just trying to ramp up. We will discard the Kha'Zix and play a hidden card. Wondering if this is a Hidden Blade. Most LeBlanc decks don't play a ton of hidden cards. Usually it's just Hidden Blade. It's a pretty good one, to be honest with you. But what will likely happen here is Lucian will attack into Aspirant's Climb and then develop onto the board just a little bit more. And then with the temporary trigger for the Soaring Scout, SpicyN0odlez will Hidden Blade it, drawing 2 and ramping. Lucian, once again, as a dodger, will ready upon conquer, so conquers the Aspirant's Climb and heads back home to the safety of the base. 6 runes available here for Soulslike. The question is, what do we do from here? We've got quite a few good cards in hand. We're going to develop a Fey Folk. We have a Star-Crossed. Maybe a Gust. Well, it looks like we're going to go ahead and sabotage here. Give me that Baited Hook. Rift Herald Baited Hook. And this is going to make life way harder for SpicyN0odlez. Baited Hook giving so much value in game 1 makes it so that we're going to have to either find another one or... Oh, no. Okay, well, I guess we're not going to react to it. Maybe it's not a Hidden Blade. Soaring Scout temporary unit will die, ramping 1 rune. And we'll get a hold for SpicyN0odlez. This is hold to 3. Hidden Blade our Soaring Scout, not the temporary one. Draw 2 and ramp 1. Now we got basically a full grip going from 1 card to 4 cards. We have a Mirror Image. Oh, we found another Baited Hook. SpicyN0odlez with the top decks of the century. We'll pull back the Vi. We have double Mirror Image, Black Rose Dignitary, and Baited Hook, it looks like, in hand for SpicyN0odlez. All right. Tapping 3 and recycling 1. We're going to play the LeBlanc Fragmented and say go. Soulslike. Starting up the turn, beginning phase, after the channel, 3-3, pushing forward this Lucian, saying, I need to get to 9. We got to score some points. We'll go to 4. We'll pull back the Lucian. But what do we do from here? Some good cards in hand. We're going to play Feyfolk, and we're going to bring over the Vi. Was this what we wanted? We're going to play the Kha'Zix probably. Oh, wait, no. Is this a Ringar? Ringar Trophy Hunter. Onto the battlefield with Ambush. We're going to take out this Vi at the cost of our Feyfolk. You did your job, Feyfolk. You did your job. Well done. Score another point for Soulslike. But a menacing 6-might unit on the battlefield, on the arena's greatest, to try and hold out for now. Two open runes for Soulslike. Passes it on over to SpicyN0odlez. We'll ready this LeBlanc Fragmented and try and make something happen here. Vampridge saying I'm obligated to cheer for the orange player. True. Gosh, get out of here, LeBlanc. We will conquer. We'll discard a mirror image. And we'll go ahead and make a... Oh, just kidding. We were going to make a LeBlanc, but get out of here, LeBlanc. The Gust interaction comes true, and we send that home. We will develop a Rift Herald and pass the turn. 5-4, now going to 6-4 from the hold from Soulslike. As we've got a lot of runes here for Soulslike. The question is, can we beat down this Rift Herald, who we've known is quite powerful? So we'll probably buff up the Lucian here and attack into the LeBlanc. Oh, just kidding. We're going to buff up the Ringar. All right, buffing up the Ringar. What's the plan from here? We want to probably score off of Aspirant's Climb and make it so that we can double conquer to victory. We do have a Star-Crossed. Star-Crossed will be incredibly impactful here. All right, we're going to push forward with the Lucian. We're going to say, hey, I'm offering a trade. Just kidding. Is this another Ringar? Oh, no, it's a Kha'Zix. Okay. We're going to play Kha'Zix. We're going to trade the Lucian. Go up a point. We're going to the all-important 7, 2 away. And we do have Star-Crossed available to us. Get a 2 experience from the Kha'Zix. The issue here is we don't really have a really good Star-Crossed target on our end. I would have liked ambushing the Kha'Zix out and then using Star-Crossed on the Lucian with the Rift Herald. So, oh, this is interesting. We're going to use it on the Kha'Zix afterwards. If we used it on the Lucian, we would have kept our Lucian alive and back to hand and essentially done the same thing. Then we'd be able to just hold to 9 right here. Okay, maybe a little bit of a blunder from Soulslike, or perhaps Soulslike has a plan. Looking at SpicyN0odlez's hand, we've got a Call the Weak, we've got the Rift Herald, looks like maybe a Watchful Sentry, a Mirror Image, a Soaring Scout, and I'm not sure what the other card is, maybe a Baited Hook. Gonna pay 3. Black Rose Dignitary onto the board. And then developing a Watchful Sentry into a Soaring Scout. It looks like this is a development turn for SpicyN0odlez, which is dangerous considering Soulslike already threatening 9 points. Likely, potentially going to hold here to 8. The question is, Do we have to commit a Call of the Week onto this Rengar? SpicyN0odlez thinking this through, trying to figure out the best line of action, navigating these tough waters, and we'll pass it over. 2 runes open. Soulslike gonna hold to 8. Channeling runes, going to 8. Very important play here. Coming out of Soulslike, let's get rid of all the distractions. It looks like we might be going for a Void Assault play here. We're going to go ahead and move over the Soaring Scout and our Rengar, trying to kill the Soaring Scout, but no. The Hidden Blade comes out, says, get out of here, Rengar. But it looks like we still have the Kha'Zix. We knew we had the Kha'Zix, but SpicyN0odlez had to try. That's it. Kha'Zix, Void Reaver, piloted by Soulslike, takes this down and evens the score up 1-1 as we go into Game 3 up against LeBlanc. Kha'Zix, let's go! Coming through. These Void Assaults are clutch. But it's okay. We did notice a couple things there that we could have optimized a little bit better. Hopefully Soulslike will be able to go back through and watch the VOD. Perhaps, maybe didn't even need to. Nevertheless, we'll pick up that game as we move into Game 3. I'm wondering how these players will decide to switch up their sideboards going into Game 3. This is the go first game for LeBlanc, which is Hillock. Windswept Hillock is super powerful, giving units ganking, making it so all of these LeBlanc Deceiver images and copies will be able to just gank over the other battlefield. Kha'Zix, on the other hand, I wonder what we have here. I'm wondering if it's Forbidding Wastes. So Forbidding Waste, on the other hand, says when a unit is defending alone, it has -2 might. So that when you're using your Feyfolk and you're pulling people in, they're the defender, Feyfolk is the attacker, and blam, you lose 2 might. So these early tempo plays are punished by the waste. Marky over here, a LeBlanc losing is always a good day. Oh my god. I mean, LeBlancs do go kind of crazy. So I do like seeing an air quotes off meta deck winning against a meta deck. It always feels good in my eyes. However, the game's not over. The match is not over. We still got game number 3, and we got LeBlanc Deceiver swapping out the champion. No longer LeBlanc Fragmented, moving on over to LeBlanc Everywhere at Once with the Hillock. And it is, just like I said, Forbidding Waste coming out for the go second on the Kha'Zix side. Kha'Zix staring down a Void Rush and a Fizz. Not sure what the other cards are, but it looks like Soulslike says keep. Keep 4 is a dangerous call. SpicyN0odlez develops the Sentry, has a Mixologist, has a Baited Hook, has a Watchful Sentry Part 2 Electric Boogaloo, and a Harness Dragon. All really good cards. What are we going to do for Kha'Zix? We draw and we say go. That's a dangerous prospect. Watchful Sentry, probably going to go to the Hillock here. We'll go to the Hillock. We can maybe discard a Harness Dragon, but no, we're going to gust it away. Get back there, Watchful Sentry. We're probably going to play double Sentry Pass. I feel like that gust might have come in really handy later. The question is the small point tempo worth it for Soulslike? For me, I don't think so. I think that gust would have been exceptional later on when more threatening, more powerful units are on the battlefields threatening to make images of. However, Soulslike has been in this spot before. 5 runes up. What are we going to do? Looking at that Vex Apathetic, thinking, this might be the play. Maybe I go Vex Apathetic Pass, but it looks like it'll be a nothing. Nothing for Soulslike, who kept 4. Passing over to SpicyN0odlez, is going to develop a Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix developed and then sends over the sentry into the battlefield. Thinks about the trigger. I would ship home this Harness Dragon. Yep, out of here, Harness Dragon. Making an image. And then send the other one over to the Hillock. We can probably even make this Black Rose Dignitary. Indeed we do. 1 point to 0 will pass over to Soulslike. This is a tense game. Soulslike must have a nutty hand because kept 4. I see a Starcross, 2 Void Rush, a Vex Apathetic, a Fizz. We've got 7 runes here. A lot of options. Maybe we just Fizz Gust one of these, Gust the token, and then establish the Vex and say go. That's probably the best possible play. It makes it so SpicyN0odlez doesn't get the draws, but no. Paying 5, sending in the Rengar, says you can draw 4, but I'm taking this battlefield. SpicyN0odlez happy to accept this trade, draw 4 for a point. Indeed, Rengar does go meow. That's right, I did it, chat. Paying 2 now. Void Assault, gonna bring in the, taking down the Kha'Zix. This is a pretty good play. It would have been nice to take out the Kha'Zix first, so instead of draw 4, it was a draw 2. However, we're now at 2 points. We're in a pretty good spot. We got some experience. Maybe we buff up this Rengar. It's gonna be really hard to take down this Rengar at this point. 7 might on him. But SpicyN0odlez just chilling. Soulslike only at 2 points. Still 6 more points to go. Plenty of time for SpicyN0odlez to get some more runes and develop some of their heavy hitters like Harness Dragon or Mixologist, Rift Herald. There's just so many big threats in this deck. Let's see what SpicyN0odlez decides to do. Just kidding. We're instead just going to say, Hidden Blade, get out of here, Rengar. Kill the Rengar. And then push forward. No runes open for Soulslike, so we're going to be SpicyN0odlez going to 3 here. Discarding a mirror image for the Black Rose Dignitary. Dignitary will gank over and conquer the Waste. Then we'll pay 5. Is this what? Nope, Mixologist. Play a Mixologist and say go. All runes down for SpicyN0odlez. Drawing and playing the Hidden Blade was clutch. And now, on the back foot, Soulslike down 2 points to 3. We'll have to figure out how to get through this. Still has the champion unit in Kha'Zix. We know about the Fizz. We know about the Vex. More and more, it's feeling like this Fizz might need to pick up a Gust. Soulslike, still plenty of cards in hands. Plenty of actions to do. Quite a few threats available. Now has to figure out how do I, stop SpicyN0odlez from getting all of these points, and B, start getting some points of my own. Fizz developed onto the battlefield. Will pick up a Void Assault. Pushes forward onto the Black Rose Dignitary. Says, I don't want any more units here. Get out of here, Black Rose Dignitary. You can ramp one, but I'm going to 3 points. We're all tied up. However, this Fizz is kind of left hanging here. I wonder if we have to go ahead and establish this Vex onto the battlefield, or if we can just sit back and hold up Grim Deliverance. Just kidding. We're going to go ahead and play 4. Put the Vex out there, and we're going to buff up the Vex most likely. Giving us 8 might on this battlefield. Pretty tough to get through. Apologies, chat. I meant Grim Resolve, not Grim Deliverance. Hello. Temporary unit will go away. We'll ramp 1. We will not score off of that hold because temporary units disappear before the hold. Plenty of runes available, 8 runes available for SpicyN0odlez. Some of these big bombs are available to us. You all asked for it, and guess what? We finally got a longer match. 15 minutes left. I do not anticipate that to be a problem. However, we're going to go Kha'Zix into this, onto the base, and then send forward the Mixologist to trade with the Vex. We get 2 triggers here. We're going to get Kha'Zix number 2 and bring back our Black Rose Dignitary. Playing versus LeBlanc is very tedious. That is very true. Now we're going to bring out Watchful Sentry into the Hillock, bring out our Vi, and bam! Stun the Fizz, get ourselves a Deceiver trigger. We're going to discard this Mirror Image, get another copy of our Watchful Sentry, and gank it over onto the Waste, scoring us up to 5 and threatening to draw 3 off of this temporary Watchful Sentry. LeBlanc drawing so many cards is crazy. Now, Soulslike, no shortage of cards themselves. However, their base is looking a little bit empty. We see that there is a Fizz still in hand. However, not a whole lot of other options. It looks like we might have to concede SpicyN0odlez getting at least 6 points. Unless we can make some magic here. Soulslike, thinking through. Looks like this is probably going to be a Fizz turn. The question is, we have ourselves, what, 7 runes? Not a whole lot of options. Oh, okay. So we're going to get a little bit of experience here playing the Demacian Diplomat, it looks like. Demacian Diplomat comes in and you get an experience, 2 might for 2. It's pretty cool because the Kha'Zix can buff it up, making it essentially a 3 might for 2. Which is pretty formidable as might for energy goes. Paying 3 and a power. Is Fizz? Question mark. Send the copy home with the Gust. Yep, it is indeed Fizz. We're going to copy the Gust. Oh, we're going to send the real copy of Watchful Sentry home. That's interesting. So we're okay with the draw coming out of SpicyN0odlez. And it looks like we're going to pass it over for Soulslike. This was a little bit of a development turn. SpicyN0odlez is going to hold to 6. The temporary unit's going to go, and we're going to draw 3. 1, 2, 3. Baited Hook, LeBlanc, and another Mixologist. SpicyN0odlez at 6 here. Maybe I miscounted. Maybe they're at 5. I thought they should have been at 6, but maybe that's my mistake. We'll make a copy of Vi. Discarding a Watchful Sentry. Oh, just kidding. There's the 6. We were thinking about the hold. Now, 5 billion cards in hand. However, some of them are not exceptional. Like multiple baited hooks. All right, I suppose. We're going to gank over to 7. Play a baited hook. We're probably going to go ahead and kill this Vi. We do indeed get rid of the Vi. We're going to look for 6 might or lower from the baited hook. Oh, Ruined Rex. We surely take the Ruined Rex. We do take the Ruined Rex. All right, we take the Ruined Rex onto the Hillock, threatening a hold to 8. Play a second baited hook. Sacrifice the Rex. Kill everything in your base. I get 3 triggers of Ruined Rex after I'm done with my baited hook. We're going to find ourselves another Ruined Rex. Part 2 Electric Boogaloo. Fun, fair, and balanced, says chat. Goodbye, cards and base. And Soulslike up against the ropes. 3-7. SpicyN0odlez threatening to hold to win will reinforce. That's right. We've got 13 might on this Hillock. All we need is 1 to hold to win. What can Soulslike find to get out of this? We see some Star-Crossed in hand, but we don't have any units left. Is that no units in hand? Oh, wait, no, we have a Rengar. But we can go Rengar to 9, but that's not good enough. Rengar ambush, we can't do anything else. We can ambush onto the Hillock. We can kill the Rex, but then pass the turn and lose the game. This looks like it might be a foregone conclusion. It might be SpicyN0odlez on LeBlanc, taking this one home, taking down the menacing Kha'Zix, and there it is. There's the fist bump. SpicyN0odlez taking home this match 2-1 up against the threatening and the menacing Kha'Zix. Excellently piloted by both players. Although, you know, just a couple things. I'm not sure why we kept a 4-card hand with no turn 1 play in a race. However, still, great showing from Kha'Zix. Love seeing that. And you know what? I think both players played exceptionally well here. However, LeBlanc showing the pure might and the extended game fortitude it has to play into the late game, making it almost impossible to establish any type of board presence. So playing against LeBlanc, you really just have to get out of the gates swinging, pressure them early so that you can force them to make plays that are suboptimal in the mid to late game. Nevertheless, that was SpicyN0odlez taking home the win 2-1 on LeBlanc. I'm sure we'll see more of them later on, potentially in top 8. However, that's round 3 in the books. Out of 5, we've got 5 rounds today, followed up by a single elimination top 8 for our Nexus Knights. Anyways, I'm Indeck Perfy. We'll be back for round 4. Talk to you all soon.